Hey, it's Old ALJ with Adventures in Homebrewing. In this video, we're going to cover disassembly, cleaning, reassembly, and replacement of O-rings in two of the most common kegs used by homebrewers. Now, before you begin, be sure to pour yourself a mug full of your favorite adult beverage. Perhaps not as important as the beer, you will also need a pair of needle nose pliers, a ratchet, the appropriate socket for the post on your keg, a cleaner, keg lube, and a sanitizer. Always be sure the pressure has been bled from your keg before beginning this process. If you do not have a manual pressure release valve, you can use a gas disconnect or depressurizing tool to release the pressure. I'm often asked what's the difference between pin lock fittings and ball lock fittings. Pin lock fittings have pins on each side. To put it in place, align them with the slots, spin it, lock it in place, and you're all set. The ball lock keg has a ball locking mechanism, much like an air compressor. You take your ball lock fitting, pull the collar back, force it into place, and it'll lock on. Ball lock kegs tend to be slightly taller than pin lock kegs. They also generally come with a manual pressure release valve. Outside of the post and the lids, these kegs are essentially the same. So let's get this keg taken apart and cleaned. First, you want to remove your lid, drop the bottom in, pull it out. Remove the O-ring from the lid and put it into your bucket to clean. If you're going to replace the post O-rings, remove them while the posts are still on the kegs. It's easiest to do with a pair of needle nose pliers. To remove the post, get a socket that fits your post itself. Drop it on. You may have to give it a little pop to get it off of there. And unthread those. Drop it into your bucket with your cleaner. When removing the gas post, you may again have to give it a little pop. Remove it. The gas dip tube will likely come out with the post. Take that apart, throw it into the bucket. At this point, I remove my beer dip tube and I like to soak it in my cleaner. Depending on how long it's been since you last cleaned your keg, you may need to soak it in a PBW or a straight A solution. You never want to use bleach on your keg or any of its components, as it may cause pitting and corrosion of the stainless steel. For cleaning the keg itself, I like to use a dish detergent, something free and clear, something without fragrances, something without dyes. As far as cleaning the inside goes, you can use a scrub brush or make your life easier and buy an attachment for your drill for scrubbing out the inside of your keg. For scrubbing your small parts, I like to just have a little old toothbrush that I use and take off your O-rings, get under the dip tube flange there, make sure it's clean. I like to clean around the lid. Again, I like to use an old toothbrush for this. For your gas dip tube, again, take off the O-ring, scrub under the flange, for your post, scrub inside and around. Next, we're going to clean the dip tube. What I like to use for this is a dip tube brush. Take your dip tube brush, put your cleaner on it, and feed that directly through the dip tube. Usually I keep my dip tube in my keg so foam isn't going all over the place or out the end of your dip tube when you're cleaning this. But for the demonstration, we'll go ahead and have it outside of the keg to show you how to do this. And you're all set. Once you're done cleaning, make sure you thoroughly rinse your keg and all of its components. There are many schools of thought about when to sanitize your parts. I like to sanitize my parts as I put the kegs back together. For sanitation, I use iodophor, although Star San is another great option. These products come clearly labeled with mixing instructions that should always be followed for best results. All right, now let's get this sanitized keg put back together here. We're gonna take our beer dip tube and sanitized O-ring, slide it all the way on, and slide that back into the outside of your keg. Then we're gonna take our gas dip tube and sanitized O-ring. Put that on the inside of the keg. Grab your gas post. It is the post with the notch on it. That will go onto your inside. Make sure your poppets are in place. Grab your outpost. That one won't have the notches on it. That'll go on the outside of it. Take your clean, sanitized lid and O-ring. Put the big end in bottom. Lock it up into place. Take your post rings. Place them on the post. To tighten the post down, again, use the appropriate socket. Get them tight and snug them down. Again, tight, snug them down. At this point, you probably want to use a little bit of keg lube. Anywhere where you have moving parts, it's a good idea to place some keg lube on your keg. Just a small dose. And on your gas side. So you still have a little sanitizer in your keg. What you should do is connect your gas line, go ahead and connect your beer lines. Pressurize the system and check for leaks. Then run a little bit of sanitizer through your beer lines. Now I know you didn't do all this hard work to not put some of the finest homebrew on hand into that keg. So stop watching the beer porn and get to racking that brew.